Hi, Michelle here. Just a little content note. Today's interview is going to cover some potentially um, triggering topics for some of you. We are going to talk about weight loss surgery. We're going to talk about cancer treatments. Some of these topics might be extra sensitive for some of you. And how do I know? Because they're sensitive for me. So please proceed with caution, take care of yourself, and we hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the Intimacy Lab. I'm Michelle Renee, an intimacy guide, surrogate partner, and professional cuddler. We're here to talk about intimacy in a much broader view than what you probably think. Most people think about intimacy as sex. We're going to break that apart here. Welcome to the lab. Welcome back to the Intimacy Lab. I'm so fucking stoked for today because my Michigan wife is here. Like, I've brought in lots of people from my life, but not like, so far all the, like, everybody that's been on the show has been professionals. And you're a professional in your career,
yeah,
but you're not a professional that shows up on podcasts.
True. That's very true. Never happened before.
I'm so excited. I'm like getting to take your virginity, and that makes me so happy. Okay, so I call this person. I'm gonna try to protect her identity a little bit. It feels like almost impossible. My Michigan wife is my Michigan wife, because I don't know. I get asked this. I think people think I'm actually married to multiple women because I have a San Diego wife and a Michigan wife, and then I have my husband, and like. I've dabbled in poly and all these things, right? They just assume. So
yep.
I met my Michigan wife at a party in, I think it was August of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I know, a long time ago. And I paid you like this compliment about something you were wearing, and you were feeling a little insecure in the space. And I was like, you're fine. You're fine. Like I also have a lot of stuff around spaces where I don't know a lot of people. Yeah. And I went to multiple parties at that person's house, and I found myself a lot of times sitting in the big beanbag that was in the back room. Yep. So anyways, we met that day. And then in October, I had my 40th birthday, and I invited the community at large. Like, we were part of this big group of people. And you showed up with a gift. Like, nobody gave me a gift. It was my 40th birthday. I didn't ask for gifts by any means, but you showed up with a gift, and part of that gift was an item that was similar to the one that I complimented you on. Yeah. And it was just, I don't know, we were friends after that. Like, I can't wait for the cards that we're going to do. We're not really stranger cards.
Okay.
And I've already looked at them, but my Michigan wife has not looked at them yet. So, I know what they are, and I'm so excited to do these with you. But we did these at my wedding, and Michigan wife was there, of course, thankfully. So you know all the stories of the people's reactions to playing these cards at the tables. Like, there was such a mixed. What was your reaction to the cards at the reception?
I don't remember what the one was at my table, but they were good. I thought it was such a clever idea, and they were so thought-provoking, and they instigated a lot of conversation, which I think is perfect, especially, like, I knew like 3 people at your wedding. I made fast friends with a lot of people there, but I knew like you and Paul and Sarah. And I think that was
right, because you had met Sarah one time.
Oh, and Kitty. I'd met Kitty before.
Oh, yep, you met Kitty.
Yep, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I met them once, like when I was there
briefly.
Like, 2 years prior. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought I didn't plan any at that wedding, and so that was the part that I got to put my voice on. And at first I thought about giving out books, because that's also very me, but then I looked at the price of doing the book that I wanted to hand out, and I was like, no. Yeah. This was cost me like $20 or something to destroy, to parse out the game. Anyways, okay. So is there anything else people should know about you? Is there anything else about you that you would like to, how you would like to introduce yourself? Like, do you want to share any of your identities, like your labels, like anything that people should know?
I kind of met Michelle through the poly community. No longer really in the poly community, but I have this spot where I don't feel like I belong anywhere. Where I don't go to like the poly community events. I haven't in a long time, but a lot of my friend group is there. They're still very kind around West Michigan and invite me to things, and that makes me really happy. I can't always make it, but I feel very happy that I'm still invited. Otherwise, like Michelle is my best friend, and I miss her so much, and I'm thrilled that you get to live in California, and I'm thrilled that I get to come visit you in California. I'm so excited that we're doing this. We should do this, like not even recording it, like on a regular, like a monthly basis.
I know we're great that in the fact that we don't require a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
But like us catching up the other day because I couldn't come see you, was good and needed, and we should do it more often. So yeah.
I like that our relationship, there's no like guilt of like, no matter what, it's like we're both busy, and when we do catch up, it's like kind of a like crash course and like, okay, let me update you on all of the things in my life that have happened since the last time we talked.
It's like we get little micro talks, like we text little things back and forth, but it's not like the, oh my God, who are you dating? You know, like I don't know the information here, and I'm your well, you're my Michigan wife. What am I? I don't know what that.
You're my Michelle.
Okay. I'm your Michelle, and I don't know this. I don't know the story behind who is this person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am dating someone. I am someone who I identify as queer, but I feel like a bad queer, where like I still don't understand the difference between bisexual and pansexual.
I don't think there is a difference. I think it's political.
I don't think there's two, but bi to me means two, and there's more than two genders. So I'm like, but then when you say pansexual, people are like cookware. And
well, that reminds me, like there was a point where we tried to date.
We did try to date.
Yeah.
It was just like, how do we describe how we dated? We dated and then just all of a sudden didn't. We didn't have
I tell this story a lot because I think it's a really lovely, example of communicating authentically and in adjusting. So like, I remember there was a time where you said something like, would you ever consider dating a woman? Or you asked if I would consider dating you. I don't remember which. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm totally like bisexual in the sense that I have no issues having sex with women, never dated a woman. And it kind of sat in the back burner, and we grew our friendship. And then there was a point where I started to say to people, if I was going to date a woman, it was going to be you.
Yeah. Oh,
and then I think it came up, we ended up having a conversation around it. And then I guess we officially started dating, but like, I don't
know how that happened.
I don't know that anything changed other than my feelings got more complicated because I found myself putting a bunch of expectations because we had changed the label of our relationship, and I found myself avoiding you. I remember I was dating Kyle at the time, and he was my daddy. It was a very I was very submissive in that space. Such a foreign concept to me now. It was a needed point. Yes, I was also with Paul.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Because I was also playing in the poly world, and also don't feel like I know where I fit in now to like go to even ethical non-monogamy and general events. I don't know whether I should show up at them or not because I'm in a monogamous relationship right this minute. But we have a very like open feel to us. Like clearly look at the work that I do. My partner is very sharing, and you know, like I have intimacy with so many people. Like my relationships that I have that are platonic in nature would never have been okay in my first marriage.
Yeah.
Too
intimate. Our friendship would have happened. And that wasn't, your divorce wasn't long before we met.
No. So I was just like, I said to Kyle, we were out to dinner one time, and Kyle also lived in your area. So it was kind of an expectation that I would jump, you know, I'd see one person, then I'd go see the other person. And I said something like, I feel like it's an obligation. And he goes, do you need permission not to see her? And I said, yeah. Like, and then I was like, I got to
Yeah.
talk to you because this is not good. Like, this is not where I wanted this. I don't want this to go to the point. Like,
Yeah.
that wasn't the point of starting to date, was to not see each other. It was just in my head, it was like my expectations of what I was supposed to do changed.
I do want to call out too. I hope that I didn't put those on you. I think we both put them on the situation because we changed the label in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I think it's so hard when your sexuality is so flexible that I do it. I'm not speaking for you, but I definitely confuse like platonic love with romantic love. And I'm like, I feel so strongly about you, so I must need to date you. Like, that must be what this is.
I
like,
still struggle. Like, because I don't know. I don't feel like, I feel like when you say romantic love, you're really talking about limerence.
Yes. Yes.
And that new relationship energy and all that. We can have lots of different names for it. And I struggle with that too. Like, if I feel really close to you, should I want to date you? Right. And that becomes the question around the poly thing, right?
Yeah.
Is like, what constitutes a relationship?
Yeah.
And for me, it's a lot about what is my responsibility to the relationship if it is considered a like romantic relationship.
I think, you know, too, that relationship I had that ended right before COVID, the like 2-year one, in hindsight, like, we are such good friends now that, like, in hindsight, I'm like, we were never meant to date. We were always meant to be very close friends. And it's so hard to determine that. And that's not something that I thought would be difficult. It is so difficult. So that's something I'm still learning and working on too.
It takes a level of maturity, I think, to do the transition. And that's, I mean, we fucking rocked it. Like,
yeah, we did.
It was not a step out of, like, there was, I don't know if you had disappointment in it or anything like that. We just rolled right back to how things kind of were before. Just removed the label and all was well. Okay.
I think there was kind of, sorry to finish that. I think there was some kind of like unspoken, like, we tried. It didn't work.
I think
whatever.
I needed to try. I think I needed to. I think I had a lot of curiosity around it and around you. Because it wasn't just a, like, I hadn't dated women, but like, I really, like, we're going to get into this. I'm not going to say anymore because I know it's going to come up in a question.
Okay.
I'm
so excited.
Because I've pre looked at these and immediately had things. So we are playing the friendship edition today. We have not cracked this box open yet. So of all people to break into this set of cards with, my Michigan wife.
I'm so excited.
The inner circle, right?
Yes.
Like, my life is like rings of a tree. And this is one of the very inner rings. Okay. So just like the other boxes, the levels go: perception is level 1, connection level 2, and reflection is level 3. So the first card, and Michigan wife has no clue what these cards are because I picked them and she chose to not know what they were ahead of time.
Yep.
You're going to love this one.
Okay.
This goes to our history so much.
Okay.
How many people do you think I've slept with?
Oh, boy. Oh. I feel like it's less than me because you were married for a long time.
That's true.
You were married for a long time. I'm going to guess 42.
Cool. I have no idea.
I don't have any idea either.
Yeah. I'm going to guess, if you guessed 42 for me and you think you slept with more, I'll put you at, I don't know. I hate putting a number on this. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a number. And this is why I was really loving this card, is because I want to tell a story that I've not gotten a chance to tell on this podcast before.
Yeah.
Years ago, so I love podcasts, and I was listening to, God, I don't remember the name of the podcast anymore. It's not around anymore, but Ashley Manta, who is the canosexual, her specialty is cannabis and sexuality. She had a podcast with one of her best friends, and I just can't remember the name of it. But there was an episode where they were talking about going back and having sex with people they've had sex with before just so their number didn't go up.
That seems like such a strange concept.
And I went immediately, like, I think I can, as someone who doesn't have pictures in my mind very much.
Yeah.
I am literally driving the S curves in Grand Rapids. I feel like this is where I heard this, and I made this declaration. I was never going to keep count.
Yeah.
Because it's pointless. It doesn't do anything but shame yourself or give people an opportunity to shame you or what have you. So you might be right. I have no fucking clue. I have no idea.
I stopped, and not to say that like, I do think there is kind of inherent shame around that. I hope that like my kids don't experience that. And I mean, we can't even there's not enough time to get into religious trauma and all of that. But, you know, you and I both grew up with that, and my kids are not growing up with that. So I hope that that's a big part of the shaming. And I think I don't know that I kept track. It's not like I like wrote them in my diary or anything, but like it was easy to keep track of until I like probably till I got married. And then like then it like stopped. Like I'm like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. Like, why am I keeping track? Why does that number matter? It just allows people to judge you, and the people who do care about those things. And so anytime a partner or anyone has asked me, I always have follow-up questions of like, number one, why are you asking? And number two, does my answer affect how you feel about me?
Yeah.
And if so, then why? Then you're someone I shouldn't be dating.
Yeah, I could just say plenty enough to know what I'm doing.
That's a great answer. I'm gonna steal that.
Plenty enough to know what I want.
Yeah.
Plenty enough to have practiced asking for what I want and being able to tell you what works for me.
Yes, exactly. That's all that matters. I don't get the commodity of virginity. I don't understand. Well, I do understand it. I don't
participate in it.
I don't participate. I completely understand why. I mean, in my own belief, I believe it's a way for men who are bad at sex to feel like they're amazing because the person they're with hasn't been with many people, so they don't know what they're doing. You
don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. So I see it all the time when I think that's a lot of reason why men go for younger and younger women is
naivety.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
I do want to do a disclaimer. I drink these at work all the time, and everyone always thinks I'm drinking like a tall boy. It's a liquid death. It's water.
Oh, okay. That's all. I was like, oh, are we drinking today?
Right? No. That's why I said it.
It's past noon at your place.
It's past noon. It's 1:00. Yep.
But I mean, hey, okay. So that was, I loved the opportunity to like, blow that idea of body count. Like,
absolutely.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Level 2. What's an exciting change you've been seeing in yourself, big or small?
Ooh, this is for me?
We're both going to answer it for ourselves. Okay. Yes.
Do you want to answer it first, or do you want me to?
I don't care. Do you have a preference?
I can go first.
Okay.
Exciting change I'm seeing in myself. Michelle and I have both been losing weight, and for whatever that, for us, it's a happy, healthy situation. It's not a bad situation, not because of anything bad that's going on in our lives or mentally. It's things that we both wanted. And I've lost 130 pounds in the last 2 years, and the confidence, like I always considered myself a confident person, and I took a lot of bullshit in relationships. I will say with men mostly. With women, I didn't for the most part, but with men, it was it's like I'll just deal with the cheating because they're dealing with me being fat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll accept this because they're dealing with the fact that I'm fat. It wasn't a conscious thought. It was a hindsight. Now looking back, I mean, like, wow, I put up with a lot.
Yeah, because you are confident. Like,
yeah.
I'll say this similar thing. Like,
yeah,
I thought I was really confident, and I'll say that I went through weight loss surgery, vertical sleeve, because my body hurt.
Yeah.
I thought I was really happy with myself at the time, and I wasn't doing it to change my body image, but more so because everything hurt. But I'm going to be real transparent and say that I was talking to Michigan Wife about this the other day. I was going through some old like video journals, and I came across, get ready, tears are going to come.
Yeah.
I came across 2 videos. One was the morning of surgery, and one was I had a 3-day water prep before surgery, or clear liquids prep. And after day 1, I made a video where I was like second guessing my choices, getting scared.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to watch it now because of I have judgment about myself now.
Yeah.
I see myself differently, and it's hard for me to touch into the feelings that I felt then of being okay with myself the way I was. But I do know 100% that I went into it for the purpose of feeling better, like for my joints. Like it just, everything was hard to do. Everything took so much effort and energy. Just the idea of like, I have to go outside and use the stairs. Like, could I avoid that at all? Like for as long as possible? And I did a lot of things despite my weight. And I too have lost around 130 pounds also, really getting close to that. And I don't hesitate to run down the stairs for something. It doesn't cost me as many spoons, physical spoons, to do things. And I feel shitty the way that I have looked at those videos. Like, it doesn't feel good to have that judgment about myself, but it's hard to see. It's hard to see because we've talked about this many times. We don't see ourselves the same way as we do when we see ourselves in a picture or something.
We have like
like,
reverse
I think
body
I still look like I did in high school. Like, what are you talking about?
And then you see a picture and you're like, oof, that
it's
hurts.
hard. But the thing is, that's really fascinating, and this goes to the changes. God, I'm gonna make a list. I told you I'm gonna make a bigger like blog post or something about this journey, because I have not talked much about it. I've never hit it, but I haven't spent a lot of time because it's a delicate topic, right? I am all about health at any size, and to be fair, like when I did my consult with my bariatric surgeon, he was like, so you have nothing health-wise wrong with you at this time. And I'm like, I know at this time, but it's coming. Like, it's coming, and I want to get ahead of it. But also, like, you put that much weight on my frame and add sports injuries from high school and all this stuff. Like, it just fucking hurts. And so I was like this patient that I had nothing on my chart. I mean, like, I wasn't on any medications. All my lab tests would always come back good. And I thought, what a great opportunity. And I really struggled to get to this. Yes, you and I talked about it. Like, we really started looking at it together. And I had, when did I made the decision?
It was summer of 2020 that I was like, I'm doing this, and I had a appointment to like schedule surgery.
I think you moved forward faster than I did.
I was like, well, it took a long time for me to get there. I mean, we talked about this the other day, but it was like, I had a doctor mention it to me a couple years prior, and I was always like, we're not there yet. Like, I can lose the weight. And for me, as well, I had a breakup in 2020, right before COVID started. So like, eating my feelings a bit there. You and I have discussed like how before it was nothing ever works. It wasn't for lack of trying. We'd stick to I don't even want to call it a diet. I'd say a lifestyle change, and it would start to work. And it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to drink this cayenne pepper tea. It was like, I'm making a change in my life. And here's the things that I'm doing to make it happen. And for me, I'd do it and I might lose 5 pounds, and then the next month I gained 10, doing the same thing, being just as committed.
Right. But I think society tells us that we're clearly failing.
Yes. Yeah. It's like,
Right.
why don't you just try harder? Like, you're clearly
Right.
like you're cheating on your diet or something, is that
Yeah.
thing. So then COVID started and I put on more weight. And then in July of 2020, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. I did chemo from August. So like my August appointment obviously got canceled because the cancer clearly took precedence. And I did chemo from August to December. And, you know, the diet culture, former eating disorder person was like, chemo, you say? Like, you mean weight loss? Like, I'll lose weight. What a happy silver lining.
Can you imagine that, like, looking back at that, like, yeah.
Plus, I'm pissed because I didn't lose weight. So
Right.
I put on 85 pounds just during chemo. They don't tell you about like how bad steroids hit you and how like the amount of weight, like when I look back to even from when I like around the time of my last chemo to like right before I had weight loss surgery. I finished chemo in December of 2020 and I had my weight loss surgery in September of 2020. Just even the difference in my face, like the puffiness. I think I probably gained weight between the end of chemo and the start of weight loss surgery. But my face, the puffiness from the steroids was just insane. But, you know, we had talked about it. You had your surgery in June of 2021. Yep. So you had already kind of been on that trek and like prepping like while I was going through chemo, and then I had to get like doctor's permission. The reason that kind of clinched the deal for me is that my cancer's hormone positive, as you know, so like hormones feed my cancer. And my doctor had said, you know, like losing weight, my oncologist said that, you know, losing weight, you know, you store hormones in your fat. Losing weight and getting to a healthy weight is going to be just as pivotal for you as any other lifestyle changes to stay cancer free as long as possible. And my insurance company wanted me to wait 12 months and do that bullshit 15-minute appointment with a nutritionist monthly, and then they would let me have surgery. And I know that like I couldn't forgive myself if I waited 12 months and the cancer came back in the meantime. Like I would always wonder what would have happened if I would have done this sooner. So Michelle went with me to Mexico because I was trying to do it in the US without insurance covering it was going to be $42,000, and that didn't count the anesthesia.
Which is crazy because we know that crazy. There's mine was 16 in Maryland. Like whatever, I don't know what was happening in that situation. They were trying to fuck you over hardcore.
Apparently what they say is that they give like discounted prices essentially to the insurance companies. So like without insurance paying for it, like paying for any of it.
I mean, I know that they do that. Oh, yeah. I mean, as an uninsured person, back in the day, I think, thank God I have like corporate coverage now, which is, you know, did not have that in my first marriage. And there were times we didn't have any insurance. And I remember my husband at the time ending up in the ER with kidney stones and different stuff. And I would be like, wait a minute, like you're billing us more than like you would bill insurances or Medicaid rates, like whatever. And they're like, yeah, like that's what we do. Like there was no fighting it. It was like, it was like, you can't afford insurance, so we get to really just rip you a new one.
Yep.
And I tried to like take it to the local news station, but because I think it was, I don't know if it was Bronson or Borges in Kalamazoo, and I think this happens across the board in many communities because they were a major advertiser. News isn't gonna cover that at all. And I was anyways, I was on one of my soapboxes at the time trying to like make change and giving up because like that's our broken fucking system. So you moved forward and said yes to the surgery, and then instead cancer decided to like cock block you.
Yeah, no kidding.
Fucking, you know, turn your life upside down, but also mine for all sorts of trauma, cancer trauma reasons. I got to the decision. I had started water aerobics classes that fall.
And that had nothing to do with weight loss, right? You just wanted to move your body, or did you want to?
I was always trying to lose weight, right? Like
chemo, right?
Always trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
And I had watched somebody from like TikTok or YouTube or somewhere that was talking about, you've got to find an exercise that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And I decided to go try water aerobics. And I loved how I felt in the water because I was an athlete in high school and I could move my body in the water. Like I was still 18. Like it didn't affect my joints. And I mean, it helped that I was in like the seniors arthritis class. And so I was top of my game in there, you know,
right.
Put yourself in a space where you are number one. And, you know, I felt like a total badass in that class. Yeah. And then I kept moving through some of the harder classes and I was doing this whole, like, shouldn't I, you know, now Michigan wife is in a place where she can't move forward in it. And I even came to you and I said, when I made the decision to go ahead, I said, are you going to be upset?
Yeah. I remember that.
I think that's what I love about you is that we showed this in our first, like, we should date. And then, oh, I'm changing my mind. Yeah. Like we've been able to have these like very transparent conversations. And so part of it was clearing it with you and making sure that I didn't have like guilt or try to get rid of any guilt. But Paul said to me, and this clinched it for me. He goes, I imagine you just want to feel how you feel in the water.
Oh, Paul.
And he
got some gems like that. Mm-hmm.
His other thing, he said, and I never heard this from anybody.
Yeah.
I see how hard you've tried.
Oh, the validation. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was witnessed, not just from another like fat friend, right? Yeah. But like from my, you know, partner who lives with me and can actually honestly say, I've seen you try. Like I've seen how hard you try. So I decided to say yes. Yeah. And I was fortunate that I had good coverage. I only had a 3-month plan that I had to go through. Yeah. So I was able to get it done in June of 2021. But then it was really interesting to turn around. I think I was 6 weeks post-op when we went to Mexico.
Yeah, it was September 19th or 20th, 3 months maybe.
It was end of June, so July, August. Okay, so closer to 3 months. Sorry, It wasn't 6 weeks. No, but
it was still very soon.
It was very fresh. It was a little scary to have. It's kind of like I watched my sister give birth to her youngest or her oldest. Yeah, 6 weeks before I had my second. Yeah, that was not a smart move, right? Because I'd forgotten, right? Yeah, and so here I had this fresh. I have like personal experience and we end up in Tijuana and and it wasn't a terrible experience. I think you get what you pay for. Yep. You're here, but there was times, it was interesting.
There were times that I was scared and I think it was not necessarily, I think because it was different than what I was used to, but also so many people were like, you're having surgery in Mexico. Like I had all those people in my head at that point. So I on it, like looking back on it, it's like looking back on childbirth. Like there's just like you're saying, like there's parts that I'm like, I probably have rose-colored glasses on in hindsight, but also I think I let all those people get into my head too. There were scary parts mainly because it's different than it is here. Like when there was a nurse starting my IV and I asked them, would you please put gloves on? They had just washed their hands. I'm sure it's not any, less safe than it is here. But that was for my comfort level of like, hey, not only am I in a different country doing this and I'm a little bit scared, but also like I'm immunocompromised. So can we be extra careful?
And we're literally working off like Google Translator.
Yeah.
Like it was interesting.
And I've forgotten for so long until this moment. I feel like I got shafted that whole trip on like the experience of like, I had we shared a room with another person having surgery and they were so kind and so nice, but I had like no TV in front of me. Like it was just like
no window,
really a TV mount
Yeah.
No television.
We had no window.
No window. We were one of the only people that had an interior room with no window.
Yeah.
So,
Other people had these floor to ceiling
gorgeous.
windows.
Yeah. The facility itself is gorgeous, but the other people's rooms, we'd walk by after surgery when I was doing my walks. We'd walk by and be like, oh, look at their window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you get what you pay for.
Yeah. I paid the same as everybody else, though.
No, I'm just saying compared to like for people that are like, oh, like, what do I do? I think it's one of these things of like, honestly, I think if you could do it in the US, that would be my suggestion. Yeah. Right. But I think that if it's something you really want,
I'd do it again.
It's an option.
Yeah.
Make sure you bring somebody with you. I just can't imagine doing it without somebody.
I couldn't, and no hate to my mom whatsoever, but I couldn't imagine if my mom would have come. Because my mom would have been just losing it the entire time. She would have been like, I'm taking you out of here. We're not doing this. And like, she would have had a rough time. You were, again, looking back, you were the only person for that job. Like I needed somebody that I trust, somebody that could see me at my worst. And just, you do such a great job in a crisis, like all through even like my cancer treatment and stuff. You were such a rock for me, even though I didn't consider it as much as I should have at the time because I was
you were going through your own shit, sweetie. You don't have to consider me.
The amount of trauma I'm sure that brought up for you and everything going on, you were still my person.
Oh, the fucking do you remember the day that you thought you were going to get diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer? Like,
yes.
Like, I was like, that's not possible. I've already had this in my life once. Yes. It's too rare. It's not supposed to happen this way, right? It still sucks that you got diagnosed with stage 4, but like the overlaps were a bit, there's still a bit much for me, but we're here. So
especially initially being diagnosed stage 2 and being like, oh, I can go into remission. Like I can do this. And my mom went through breast cancer 11 years before my adoptive mom that I'm not related to. Both still
welcome to being a woman.
Yeah, right. So go like finding out like 6 weeks later that I was stage 4 was a shock. And so I think back to our question was like, how do we feel?
What's an exciting change you've been seeing in yourself?
Yes. So I'd say like, I don't know, like there's been other people in our like French poly community in Grand Rapids that have had some sort of bariatric surgery. And I remember people commenting, they're such a bitch now. Like they're and it's like, these people who had the bariatric surgery, I didn't know them well. So I didn't know them before. I didn't know, a lot about them. I thought they were fine, whatever. But like now looking back at that and knowing how I feel now, are they a bitch or are they just no longer taking shit from you? Are they an asshole or are they just standing up for themselves and holding their boundaries? And having the confidence to do that. Like, I think what you're really saying is that you used to be able to walk all over them and now you can't.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest change I've watched with you.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just the surgery. I think it's going through cancer. I think it's like a combination of fucking all the shit you've had to deal with. Like my 20s were hard. Your 30s fucking suck.
I was always.
I just want to say that for you. My 30s were not that bad, but like your 30s, Michigan wife. I'm trying not to use your first name. Not super awesome, and also at the same time, I think super awesome in some ways. In that I've watched you move through through relationship, like in dating and things like that. Just really a different version than I saw from you before.
Yeah.
And I think it's a culmination of all those things. I don't think it's just weight loss and changing your self-confidence. I think it's fair to say you did take a lot of shit that you shouldn't have. I think of like the did you ever watch Shrill on Hulu?
Yes, I love Edie Bryant.
The Good Enough Boyfriend?
Yes. I accepted way less than I deserved.
I do too. Yeah. And even in this current relationship that I'm literally in right now, he's grown a ton. So like no shade to him as far as like where we are today. But looking back, I say, and this really bothers him, Michelle of today would not date Paul of 2015.
Yeah.
And I'm glad about that. And
The
he
cool
feels
thing
bad
about
about that. But
well, the thing is too, is that relationships only work if you can grow together. That doesn't mean that you grow in the same way or the same pace, but that you can appreciate each other's growth, even if it's not what you expected.
I'm sure Paul of today wouldn't date Michelle of 2015.
Yeah.
Under 100% sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm not 100% sure. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I think he's getting better at seeing red flags, and I had red flags, like, for sure.
Oof,
I mean, there's still some in there that people probably are like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I have some baggage, right? And it shows up in relationship. That's where it comes up. So, before we move to the last question, because I want to finish this like circle of conversation.
I want to say one more thing on that too, for maybe it's for Paul. But I think if we look back and we're not embarrassed about who we were, what are we even doing? Like, if you're not embarrassed about who you were 5 years ago, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know if embarrassed has to be the right word, but if we're not humble.
Yes.
About, like, if we can't see that we've changed.
Yes.
If we haven't changed.
Yeah. We're supposed to.
Ooh, like, ick. Not my people. I want to wrap up the weight loss story part, because I just haven't ever talked about this, and I feel like if this is my it's not a coming out for me, but I certainly haven't had long form conversation around this. I had the surgery in June of 2021. I lost about I think I lost like 60-ish pounds, but some of that was before surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I stalled. Like, I lost it really slowly, and then I stalled for a while. And it was like a year and a couple months, maybe a year and 3 months. So I'd stalled for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was feeling very much like a failure. And I didn't have great follow-up care. I mean, you went to Mexico, had no follow-up care, and I can't say I had much better.
Yeah.
Just FYI. Some of it's on me, because like,
but you're not supposed to utilize be the person. It. Yeah, they're supposed to be.
Well, I just it was interesting because we started during COVID, and so I never have gone into their office.
Yeah.
Never. Even post-op, they did a video call with me. So I just never felt really engaged with the office.
Yeah.
And Mounjaro hit the market. One of the weight loss drugs.
Yep.
And I was watching.
Was it developed for type 1 diabetes?
Type 2.
Type 2.
Yeah. It hit the market. Some of my online friends, I say with air quotes, they're not real friends, but like people I was connected with online that had gone through surgery around the same time as me, were starting to use this. And I considered, like, people had brought up weight loss medication before surgery, and I was like, why would you do that? Like, weight loss medication doesn't work. Like,
because we're thinking of like hydroxycut type of stuff that we've
been on everything, not everything, but like I was like, no. So when I saw them start to go on it, and they started to have start to report that they were starting to feel like they did right after surgery, which was so my takeaway from surgery was, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like to feel full. I never had that feeling.
Yeah.
I was never satiated.
Yeah.
I was never satisfied. It was like I was an empty bucket you could just keep shoveling food into, and it never hit like so how that happens for people at home. We have hormones in our bodies and in our brains that trigger messages, right? And my messages of full didn't work.
Yep.
And I didn't know how bad they didn't work until I could feel the opposite.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens is you have inflammation from the surgery. I had vertical sleeve, which means that they took a chunk of my stomach off, but it didn't bypass. I still have all of it, but a chunk of the side of it.
We lost.
Which
Yeah.
also happens to house a spot where you make your hunger hormones, which was an interesting. These are the things you learn in prep for surgery, is that
Yeah.
it's not just about making your stomach smaller.
Yeah. That's a misconception I think a lot of people have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really about changing your body chemistry.
Yep.
And so what happens is after surgery, you have a lot of inflammation. So when people say, "Oh, I stretched my stomach," no, you just you lost your inflammation. You recovered from surgery.
Yep.
And so like I think you had a much more aggressive surgery than I
Yes.
did.
We've talked about
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's the theory of like, because I still can't eat what I'm over 2 years post-op now, and I still can't eat what most people can eat at 6 months.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
You've always had a stronger reaction to being overfull. Like I've
Yep.
never vomited from that. I know you are very
Too many
quick
times.
to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that stall, what also started to come back was this feeling of hunger, and
Yep.
fullness was a little harder to reach, the
Yep.
feeling of. And I was getting really bummed about that, because that was the big deal. Like that was the biggest part of the surgery for me, was like, wow, I get to feel full. I don't
Yeah.
think people that don't know what that feels like, or they've never not felt it, they don't
Yeah.
understand the contrast. So I watched my online acquaintances start to use Manjaro, and I started to listen in on the conversations, and it was this talk of like, look, obesity is a chronic disease.
Yep.
We talk about, oh, I don't want to be on medications forever. But if you weren't on, like, if you go on a blood pressure medication, what are you expecting to take it forever or whatever, right? Like
I'm on
we
a
have lots of
lifelong
these.
cancer
Yeah,
med. Yeah.
exactly. Why are we looking at this as something that gets fixed?
A temporary thing. Yeah.
It's a chronic thing that we're going to keep working on in different ways, probably forever, right?
Yep.
So I went into it with the understanding that this is something that I'm going to start it, and I'm probably going to be on it forever, and I'm okay with that, because here's what it did make me feel again all those same, like I called it for a little while. When I had one client, I didn't want to tell that I had surgery, because I didn't want to listen to him give me a bunch of shit about it. Like, just didn't want to go there. And I just told him that I had gone to my doctor and was on some hormone replacement therapy, which, guess what? GLP-1s, which is the class of medication that I was on, is a hormone that we already have in our bodies. Like, so I wasn't lying, right? But and then so I've had great success on it.
You've had amazing success. Yeah.
It quiets the hunger thoughts.
Yep.
Like, I wonder how, like, I don't want to say normal bodied people, but people that don't struggle with weight, or people that don't struggle with hunger.
Yeah.
If they understand that this food noise is what a lot of us call it, how consuming that is. So for me, the medication has it's kickstarted my weight loss again. So I've lost another 60 pounds, right? And it's the mental health component of not having that food noise all the time that is like so worth it.
The freedom of like, I don't think about food all the time. And it's not like, we talked about this the other day, but like I've kind of not in the opposite realm, but like I also was I always think of like Tobias Funke from Arrested Development as like a never nude, but we were like a never full type of situation where I wasn't like in your situation where you were hungry all the time. I didn't know what hunger felt like. So for me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat. It's maybe a day and a half of not eating, I would get hunger pains. So for me, it was like, I didn't really understand what hunger was. Hunger to me was, I could go for that. I could do that. That's, I'm craving this. I must be hungry. So I also never got full. And like, I never had that. You would think not being hungry, you'd get satiated faster or something, but I never felt hungry, but I also never felt full. So when people would say, "Oh, just stop eating when you're not hungry anymore." It's like, what do you mean? I feel like my stomach is empty all the time. So after having surgery and finding out real quick what that first day, it took me like an entire 24 hours to drink a protein shake, like a 12-ounce protein shake. I remember the day after surgery, I was like violently dry heaving after taking a sip of water, which is not ideal, and not that it lasted that one day. And believe me, there were several times
You
that I was
also
like,
had you had the acid issues that they weren't addressing. Like
I was
we had some
allergic to
extra
omeprazole.
complications.
Yeah, like it was they wouldn't, yes, there were some extra. I'm so happy that I made that decision of like, let's go back to San Diego a day early and stay in like a comfortable hotel there, because I'm done with this. Like you said, there was no real like follow-up care. The follow-up care was like, if you need to see a doctor in your hometown.
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't have any complications. There are plenty of people who do. Not just people who have surgery in Mexico, people have the surgery in New York.
Oh, yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, so now it's like I'm very aware of what full is. Like I don't remember if you have this, but like a lot of people who have had some sort of bariatric surgery, when I'm full, I get a runny nose or I get the hiccups. And
I did the hiccups at
yeah,
first. It lasted for like the first 6 months or a year.
I still get them.
Where I would
Yeah.
get hiccups. I get it once in a while, just randomly, not connected to that. What I did like about the Mexico program, and I took this home with me, I was trying to get away from diet culture, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to just, like intuitively eat and like enjoy what I'm eat, like just get away from all the guilt around shit. And
Yeah.
I was coming out of the program in the States with like this, you shouldn't be eating carbs and all, and I was just like, why are we still in this space of like, in Mexico it was like Whole Foods,
Yeah.
eat Whole Foods,
Yep.
right? Legumes were not an enemy.
Yep.
Like
Right.
I love beans, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it was this always this feeling that again I was failing
Yeah.
because I was like wanting to eat whole foods.
Yeah.
Heaven freaking forbid. I personally got away from the protein supplements as soon as I could because I could eat, but
Yeah.
I know for you it's been a little bit different.
Yeah.
But where was I going with this? Going back to the medication.
Oh yeah.
I just feel better on it. Like the brain chemistry stuff, the hormone stuff. So I want to talk about it from a place of like, this is a lifelong thing for me. You don't know what you don't know, which I say 100 million times a day, it feels like.
Yep.
And what I know now is that my weight was not all in my control.
Yep.
I think that maybe in the beginning, so I grew up pretty like I had no weight issues. I was probably on the higher end for my age group and stuff. I think I have a really dense body or something, but I was like looking at pictures and stuff. I was always very fit, and I was, a 3-season athlete and all that kind of stuff. But I think, I got with would turn into my husband. In between, like, really wanting to dissociate from my body because I was not advocating for myself, especially in sex, and had this kind of, I think, unconscious, maybe I can make myself unattractive thing going on. But also we ate really shitty food.
Yeah.
Like we didn't hesitate, like the amount of fast food we ate. I think I just broke my body. I think I got to where, so then I got pregnant when I remember gaining a little weight in college, like freshman 15 was a little bit more than that for me. Ben and Jerry's was offered in the cafeteria as like a buffet. And I'd never had Ben and Jerry's before. And Pizza Hut stuffed crust came out my freshman year of college. And I got a Discover card. Like I could track things, right? But I think if it had been just a temporary situation, I could have backtracked that, got myself in check,
But it became a lifestyle
recovered
anyway.
from that.
Yeah.
But I got pregnant like the next year, like in 1997, I got pregnant, and I gained 50 pounds with my firstborn, and then I never really lost that weight, and then I gained another by the time I had surgery, I was up to 326, and I got pregnant with Weston at 208. So you can see where that went. So I think I spent so many years stressing or taxing my system.
Yeah.
That I do think that I broke the metabolic part of my body, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that the way that I've responded to Mounjaro or tirzepatide makes me think that there was some insulin resistance going on, even though my A1C never showed that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I do think, because I have responded really well to it, and it's been a nice, steady, slow, like really slow weight loss. It's not like this is all, I'm a year and a few months since I started taking. So I gave it to myself for my birthday. For my birthday in 2022, I called up my doctor and I said, I'm freaking out because my stall has now ended and I'm starting to creep up in weight. And I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I feel like a failure. And they didn't treat me like a failure. They said, "Oh, would you like to try some medications?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you for not making me feel like shit," because I was making myself feel like shit.
Yeah.
And they were so easy to like just be like, yeah, like and now I get it. Like I feel bad I had all these judgments about like weight loss medication doesn't work. And then when I started to learn about this specific group of medications and like, oh, well, these actually show these make sense to me. Like science wise, they make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just putting stimulants in our body and hoping that takes care of everything.
Yeah.
So, and here's an interesting side effect. They're seeing a lot of people on these stop craving like alcohol.
Yeah.
So like for addiction recovery, it's really interesting. The like it has a cost to it. I think that it's really fucked with my entire pleasure center.
Yeah.
Like sex is a little different for me. Like I have to work a little harder.
Yeah.
It's not in the top of my mind. And I think that plays a role in it. And I'm not willing to stop it just to have, like, I still have sex and I know this about myself. And I won't, I like the food noise being quiet.
Yes.
Is the biggest quality of life change for me with that medication. So when I hear people say like, you're cheating, you're shortcutting this.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what's really fucking hard is trying and not getting anywhere.
People don't
because our bodies are working against us.
People who either don't struggle to lose weight. I remember a partner of mine who we were getting ready to go on a vacation, and he just stopped taking a second entire plate of food, and he lost like 30 pounds in like the 2.5 months before we went on vacation. I never took a second plate of food to begin with, but during this time, I cut way back on carbs because that's the only way I've ever been able to lose weight. I was going to the gym every single morning. I was doing all these things that were extra I lost 5 pounds. And that's like severely restricted.
And it's just water.
Yeah.
It's just water.
It's just water. I sweated it out. That was it. So people who are like that, who can make a small change and see results, don't understand what it's like to stay committed for months and not see a single result. Or like it feels like pennies when they've, hit a jackpot type of thing. And it's kind of like, is the cost that this is taking, is the dedication and the mental load of changing this lifestyle, it's not equating to a result.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to keep going when that doesn't happen. So I understand why, from that point of view, they feel like it's cheating.
Yeah. I will say it's fucking a lot easier.
It is. A million times.
Because it really, I mean, it's like self-torture.
Yeah.
To keep doing something that's not making any any progress towards where you want to feel the change, right? Instead, it's just this self-defeating. It's like people want you to suffer. They want you to suffer if you're too. This takes me back to the whole like Barbie scene, right? Where you can't want to be thin, but and if you're too thin and you're too like, there's this, we're constantly in this thing.
It's the same thing. I won't name who says this to me, but this person used to be always really critical of what I ate beforehand. Like, do you really need to eat that? Do you really, is that the best choice for you? And it's like, fuck, I can't even live, you know? And then now that I've lost all of this weight, it's, well, you don't eat enough. Now you need to make sure to eat this, or why don't you just try to have a few more bites? It's like, fuck, I can't win. Just let me.
Am I a child?
What's that? Yeah.
Am I a child? Like, you just gotta eat a little bit more.
Yeah. When you say, like, when you talk about the intuitive eating, I feel like I do that now without trying. I didn't set out to be like, I'm going to eat intuitively now. I feel like I eat like the people who don't try to lose weight. I have health in mind. I make healthy choices, but my day doesn't revolve around what I eat. It doesn't revolve around, oh, well, I have this many points left in the week for those of us that have done Weight Watchers, or, you know, this is how many macros I need to do today. You just live.
Yeah. I don't crave meat. Like,
Same.
I'm much more apt to pick like the tofu option, or like I have to be mindful that I still need protein.
Yeah.
But like, it's not because like, you'll never hear me say, God, I crave a steak. And I used to be like, oh man, I would love a steak.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'll take 2 bites of it and be like, okay, that's enough.
I know I can, like, I've thought about, I lean more towards vegan options these days. I could put in the work of being vegan, and I know there's a lot more options now than there used to be, but I also, like, I'm not ready yet to put myself back into the being very concerned about what I'm eating.
Yeah.
So I
mean, I get it if you're vegan for ethics and whatever,
for sure.
But like, I don't want to be in constant consideration of what I'm eating.
Yeah.
What a fucking, talk about what is freedom. Like,
the relief.
It's been huge changes, small changes that feel huge. Like, it runs the gamut. And I'm really grateful that I do feel like I was in a really good mental space to have the surgery. Like, I haven't really struggled. People told me to expect to have a lot of like real like emotional struggles through this, and I haven't. I've had some stuff, but I don't think it's connected per se. But I always have stuff. But it's the best decision that I made. And it's kind of like, you'll remember this. Years back, I had this like big coming out post on Facebook. I like to just like, because I don't give a shit. I'm not beholden to anybody. Like, I don't have to worry about my parents think. I don't have to worry about, like, I don't work for anybody. I've always been self-employed. And I had this post on Facebook that was like, hey, guess what, people? You know what? Bankruptcy is not a big fucking deal.
Yeah, I remember that.
Society makes you feel really fucking scared about it. But guess what? Companies use it all the time. Why the fuck aren't you? Right? Yeah. And I had been through it. And I want to say the same thing about this. Like, do whatever you want. If you are actively trying to lose weight all the time, maybe consider this. If you're not and you don't want to, then don't. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But don't fucking be like self-shaming.
Yeah.
That you might consider going down this road.
And there's no, for the people who have heard a million times that they need to lose weight from their doctors. I mean, some of the, you know, skinniest people I know have heard from their doctors like, oh, I think I have tennis elbow. Like, no, you need to lose weight. Like, we've all heard it. But there's nothing, if you're comfortable with where you are, that's all that matters. I was not comfortable. I felt like the person that I am now that was trapped in a body that was limiting me. And I wasn't happy with that. It wasn't that I thought I was ugly or that I was trying to, you know, conform to a standard. It was like, I'm uncomfortable in my body. I want to be comfortable. I'm so comfortable now. And I'm still overweight for my height. Like, I'm sure the doctor would immediately still tell me to lose more weight. I don't feel the need to. Like, I'm very comfortable where I am.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me.
I was still getting naked at beaches when I was 300 pounds. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't do that now.
What's that?
I said I wouldn't do that now, but I've never been a person who's, I like clothing. I'm never a like comfortable being
It's not
naked
for everybody.
person. But it has nothing to do with like, I alone in my bed, I don't sleep naked. Like, that's not a thing for me. But that has more to do with, that has nothing to do with who's seeing me. That's my own comfortability. I feel more comfortable in clothes.
I think for me, it's like those things haven't changed.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I've been doing those things anyways.
Yeah.
What's changed for me is my how I say yes to things is different. Yes. So like here in San Diego, we have a nude beach called Black's Beach that is world famous. And it's a bitch to get to. I've tried every way to get to that beach because it's hard. It's really hard on your body. It's definitely not ADA accessible. Yeah. And I used to, Sarah would practically live down there. And so she would be like, it's my birthday. Will you come down to the beach? And I'd say yes, because it's your birthday. Like, it was like a once a year because I loved it down there. But it was like, I used to watch Biggest Loser.
Just work. Yeah. Oh, same.
Biggest Loser, when they would run them through those exercises where people are like, I think I'm dying.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I'm going to die on this cliff.
Yeah.
Right. Because my heart was beating out of my chest. It still does. But like, I don't hesitate to say yes now. So now when the weather's nicer, I'm usually down there once a month.
Yeah.
And I've even gone down there just for 2 hours. Like normally it's like you got to be there for 8 hours to make it worth the hassle of the climb in and out. I've had an invitation where it was like, oh, we were going to go to lunch. I'd really like to go to the beach. I'm sure you don't want to go to the beach only for a couple of hours because that's all the time that we had available. Yeah. And I go, actually, I think I would be a yes to that. That's because I don't have a recovery day anymore. I don't think I'm going to die.
The amount that I used to hate summer. Oh my God, I hated summer. And like, I was the person that wore jeans all summer. And again, this had nothing to do with how other people were seeing me. My thighs rub. Now that I've lost weight, my doctor can actually see that I'm knock-kneed. So like, no matter like I've never tried to achieve a thigh gap because like I don't think that's a thing anymore. Maybe it's just left over from the 90s and early 2000s, but that will never happen. I could be 90 pounds and never have a thigh gap because my legs go in like this at the knee and then like back out. My legs have rubbed my entire life, and I don't even want to go as far as calling it the chub rub. Like it's just friction. And sure, there's products for that and stuff, but like that was never comfortable for me. So I remember in high school going to a sports camp because I wasn't an athlete like you were an athlete. I've always been clumsy and never like talented. But I played tennis and golf. And the two sports you can play in your 80s, like besides pickleball. I haven't picked up pickleball yet, but
give it.
I remember wearing shorts because it was July at the sports camp, and we were literally living in a high school, sleeping in like classrooms type of thing for a week straight, hot as could be, no air conditioning in the place, and doing all of these different athletic activities wearing shorts because it was hot. And the feeling and the smell of the interstitial fluid in my body because I had rubbed skin off of my thighs. And that happened like day one. So I'm going through the next 6 days of this camp with raw inner thighs of, I hated summer because jeans aren't comfortable, but it's more comfortable than rubbing the skin off your thighs. Now I've kind of like through the last 10 years learned how to dress my body in the summer where I could be like, I was that person rocking Bermuda shorts long after they were not popular.
Dirty Dancing cut off jeans that are just above the knees.
Pedal pushers. Yep. Yeah. So now I still rarely wear, I have so many shorts that I don't wear because I'm like, I might wear them around the house, but if I'm doing any sort of walking, I'm wearing like yoga pants or something because like my thigh is still 130 pounds down rub. So like
Yeah.
I won't be doing that. But the amount that I love summer now and how much I love to get out and go on a walk or go on a bike ride, or I definitely would not still classify myself as an athletic person, but like I love to kayak now, and that's not something I would have even tried 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can paddleboard apparently. No clue.
Oh,
I could do that.
going back to rock climbing
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I did it
Yeah.
at every size.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I started late with rock climbing, but
Yeah.
there's a really cute video. I'll put it in the show notes of the first time
Okay.
I rock climbed. I think you probably saw it where I'm like gushing with Paul in the car, and it
I don't
was
think I did. I'm excited to
oh
see it.
okay. I'll send
Yeah.
it to you. It's super cute. But it was interesting. I used to navigate the rock climbing gym, and people come to me and go, "Oh, you're so inspiring."
You're
But
so brave.
my first question when I wanted to try it, because Paul had been doing it, we just hadn't ever. He wanted to go rock climbing. We were
Yeah.
pretty new in our relationship, and I said, I kind of want to go, but do they have equipment that fits me?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. Like, and I go, so I could do this? He's like, yeah. Like he doesn't live life considering his body and
Yeah.
what he's able to do or allowed to do.
Yep.
Right. And so being able to do that, like it's just easier.
Yep.
Like there's other things like pegging. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I strapped on a dildo recently, and I hadn't done it since before surgery.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Completely different. Like I used to think that it was so hard on my knees and all these things, and I'm like, it's a whole different experience
Yeah.
now. So like it's kind of cool to keep finding things that I used to do, but they're just easier to do now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I get you.
So
I think we had mentioned the other day, when people make comments of like, I want to do gastric sleeve or bypass surgery or something, but I'm so worried about the extra skin
oh.
and the amount that like Michelle and I have extra skin.
Yeah.
I
It's
just don't,
interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. Like I'm not thrilled with the fact like I have a bunch of extra skin on my like my inner thighs and my like I got the arm. I'm sad I'm not wearing a short sleeve shirt to show you, but like I have those things. It doesn't bother me. Like the amount that like the joy of exactly like you're saying, being able to move your body, of feeling like when you say like Paul never considered whether he could do something or like if something would fit him. The world was made for people like that. And so feeling, and now should the world be made like that? No, the world should be made to consider everyone of every size, but unfortunately it's not. And the amount of feeling like, not like you fit, because I don't want to sound like it's conforming, but like, because that's not why either of us did it, but not feeling held back. Like I don't worry about going to an amusement park and being able to fit in the ride anymore, or like the anxiety of getting on an airplane. On the plane to San Diego when I was coming to meet you, and then we went from there to Tijuana. The feeling of, is the seatbelt in the plane going to fit me? And I would bring, one of those seatbelt extenders because you never know based on the airline if it's going to fit you. Can I get this extender on before the person comes and sits in the seat next to me and sits there and judges me of like, oh, I'm sitting next to the fat person. The freedom of not, again, as a disclaimer, the world shouldn't be like that. The world should consider more people, but the feeling of not having that shame of, I'm so sorry that you have to sit next to me, or I'm so sorry. Like
Southwest, when you pick your own seats.
Yeah.
So often they'd be like, this is a full flight. Well, if there was one seat open on the plane, it would usually be next to me.
Yeah.
Because who would want to sit in a cramped space?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
which is a benefit. Like I remember one guy, they were like, it's going to be a full flight. And we get to nobody's boarding anywhere. I look at the guy next to me and I go, this is the benefit of sitting next to the fat girl. And he
I have
kind
an
of motioned to his beer belly, you know, and we just like high-fived and kind of joked about it. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And I noticed the difference in how I'm treated.
Yeah. Oh, that's the saddest part of like, I didn't think that would happen to me because like I didn't feel like people were rude to me. You know, you might get a look here and there, but I don't think people were like outwardly rude. It was just more of how people were thinking in their head that I was concerned about, which is stupid. Why even worry about that? But I didn't think that would change. I thought people would be just as polite before. Like I still had doors opened for me occasionally. I mean, I still got hit on at my highest weight. Probably not my highest weight because
Because
that
you
was
had
during
booty.
winter. I
Like
did. Yeah, that's
you had
true.
great booty.
I don't now. I've lost that, but which is
Yeah.
again, loved my booty, but like would take this in a heartbeat as a trade-off of like how I feel. I no longer care whether people find me attractive, and that freedom too has helped a lot. As long as I feel good, which I do. So,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, it's the amount that I get, and I don't say this to like, you know, boast, but like that was a shock for me of like the amount that I'm approached now. I'm just like, oh, leave me alone. Like, I don't want to be approached. I don't want to. People are like, oh, it's flattering. I'd rather do without it. Like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a thought come up and I'm trying to pull it back forward. Oh, thrift store shopping.
Oh,
Thrift store shop now.
we could never thrift shop store before.
Yeah.
Thrift store shop before. There we go.
Yeah. It's now I'm just frustrated that the trend right now with thrift stores is to put everything in color order because it's pretty.
Oh.
But it's I don't want to shop that hard. Like I want to go to my section. Just put me in the extra large. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's my pet peeve around thrift store shopping right now.
Yeah.
But I can, and I'm so excited to do it. Like
I haven't been in a long time. I need to do it. I buy a lot of my clothes at Costco now.
Well, if you come out here,
I will. I've heard
bring extra room in your suitcase.
I will absolutely do that. Yeah, I've heard from. I have a friend who moved here from Georgia who was like, "Your thrift store shopping is shit in Michigan," which maybe it's just West Michigan, but
I don't know. I mean, I don't have enough experience, so I can't say. But I know that I've got spots that are like I'm starting to. We went thrift store shopping the other day with my kids while they were in town, and I was like, we went down to Hillcrest, which is the neighborhood, and
nice.
They have a bunch of thrift stores down there, and it was like, oh yay, this one is by size. Oh, this one is by color. Like,
yeah,
I ran out of steam really fast in that space, but okay. I'm kind of like, should we not do a third card because we were already at a minute or an hour and like 17 minutes?
We can do it. Let's just be mindful of let's try to each keep our responses to like a couple minutes.
Okay. I don't even know what I'm going to answer, but
okay.
I'll post the question. I'm sure something will come up for me. Have I changed your mind about anything?
Oh my goodness. So many things.
I know what I'm going to answer.
I'm so happy we did this question. I remember when it was during COVID and I was so frustrated with my volatile relationship with my ex, and you told me, you know, you don't have to co-parent. Like, you know that you don't have to do that. That is not a requirement. Not doing it does not mean you're a bad parent. And I went through quite a emotionally abusive situation, and that's so hard when you have to try to co-parent with your abuser. And I tried for 5 years, and it wasn't like, there was still so much control happening. And you've changed my life in so many ways, but that was a huge one where like the abusive relationship no longer happens because I don't allow it to.
Don't participate.
Oh, the fact of the way I saw myself as like, I have no control over this. This is just how it is. And yeah, I don't participate anymore. There's no like, oh, I don't care what they think. I don't care. I do what's best for my kid, and I don't care what their opinion is of me. That's been going for almost 3 years, almost 4 years now since you said that to me. And oh my gosh, the way that that changed my life and like helped me with boundaries. Um, Knowing you is just fantastic, honestly. But you have such great advice, and the not only that, but like you are someone who you see me,
Hmm.
and you're the first person I think to see me, and I could argue the only person to see me where I don't have to defend myself to you. You are the first person to be like to call me out in a way, but like, okay, well, have you considered this? And be like, yeah, yep,
Yeah. And
shit.
you hear it.
Yeah,
Like it's a very mutually loving, healthy relationship between
yeah,
us.
yeah.
Which comes to mind, like, what have you changed in my mind about?
Mm.
You are the first woman that I could trust.
Oh, I feel that. I think I'm saying that too in a way of like the way you see me. I don't have to try to manage our relationship, or I don't have to guess and be
Mhm.
like, oh, is Michelle mad at me or something like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I really grew up in such a household of competition.
yeah,
And I always kind of treated my female friends pretty disposably in high school. And um, I was always, my friends are guys, right?
yeah.
Like,
I was that
um,
person too.
yeah. And I had the moment at Betty Dodson's body sex workshop, which was, all women. And I had this moment of like, oh shit, I need more women in my life. Like, this is really an area that I have not procured. And I met you a little less than a year later. And you have been impeccable with your trust.
No, I love you so much.
I love you. You've really
Ah,
helped me grow other female relationships because I got to have that kind of reset with you.
yeah.
And we've been through so fucking much together.
Ah.
Yeah.
I feel like we need a book or like we need to write a book or have a regular something. I don't know. But yeah, I feel the exact same way. There's probably a lot there that's very similar that I just haven't named yet. There's a lot of things that I take at the face value and not delve into the deeper stuff. You are not one of them, but I'm constantly learning. Like, you cause me to consider things more deeply, including our relationship, and just I don't know how to, like, best friend is not enough to describe you. Like,
That's why you're my wife.
yeah, exactly.
My wifey. I love my little, I got you that little penny
Yes. It's on my
that says
keychain. I love it.
wifey.
Yeah.
Me too. Wifey
Mhm.
established 2015.
Yeah.
Like, I needed you in my life.
I think that there are people I've always, and the advice that I've even given Clara's had some mean girl situations happen and has always had kind of a difficult time making friends, which is a lot of my story. And when she's in middle school, and when a friendship would be lost, I would always say, you know what, friendships come and go. And I'm a firm believer that people come into your life because they need you or you need them, and you learn something from that situation that you needed to learn. However, you are a forever friend. And I think
Yeah.
you're the only one I have and probably will ever have.
Keep open to
Yes,
opportunity,
I will
possibility.
definitely. Yes, I will definitely keep open to that.
Yeah.
But it's something that I never even thought of because I didn't know it was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that people had that.
I
And
still see this vision of like your kids are grown and you move in with me and Paul
yep,
and
we just
whatever
start up a freeze
the
company.
situation is, maybe you've
Yeah,
got somebody in your life and we can have a duplex or something. I don't know. But
yeah,
like you're like family that I would
yeah,
live with.
yeah.
Like you are just an extension of myself, but also very different. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I just think it would be very complimentary to have us in the same household.
I think that's a good word, is the complimentary. Plus I'm handy. So I'm like,
I mean, I became my own Home
you
Depot
really have.
lesbian.
You really
But I
have.
do have my window here in my office. I was thinking the other day, Michigan wife put this really cool paper up in my kitchen window that makes it all rainbowy
Mm-hmm.
and creates privacy. And this window is also facing right onto the stairwell that walks up, and it's my office space. And I was thinking, I should put that in this window. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I'll come do it. I need to do my sliding glass door because the dog keeps barking at the squirrels in the backyard, and I'm like, he might ruin it, but I'm gonna do that to not deal with the barking, hopefully. But yeah, all sorts of solutions.
Yeah. But yeah, you are very handy. That was the most lesbian thing that ever happened when we officially were dating, and you're like, do you need a garbage disposal? I could put a garbage disposal in for you. And I was like, is this what it's like to date a woman?
Right?
Like,
I've developed a new motto that I haven't determined yet if it annoys the crap out of my partner. Which is, if a man can do it, it can't be that hard. I could YouTube anything and figure it out. So I'm like, anytime I doubt myself, like I had a condensate pump that broke. And my basement was it wasn't flooded. There was like a big puddle around my furnace. And I'm like, this is probably not good. And I figured out it was the condensate pump. And I'm like, I can figure this out. I watched a couple YouTube videos. I went to literally Home Depot and bought a condensate pump and I replaced it. I didn't have the right parts. That's okay. Go back. No home improvement job is complete without.
This is what you do when you do not have expendable cash.
When you don't have expendable cash, and when you don't have a person in your life that does those things.
Oh, yes, that's another layer. Because like Paul's not super handy, but it's like a gender role situation. Like when he was not here for those 6 weeks before he moved out here and I was back in the condo, I found myself doing all the things that I wanted to do. I installed a garbage and recycling center thing and like it was, but as soon as he's here, it's just like he automatically jumps in and I automatically let him. It's like we just roll into this gender role situation, and it kind of, I like having pride in tackling some of this stuff, and like I did the same thing when I changed out my door locks. I had to go back and forth a few times because of compatibility with the old lock, whatever, but it feels really good to have those things, and I think we miss out on that when we let some dude do it. Like there's some pride. You have great homeowner pride though. You've done amazing things with your house.
I'm still like, I have like my bedroom door and the downstairs bathroom door that I've like now painted and changed out the hardware, but the one thing I can't do, I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out by like balancing it somehow, but I would probably end up like making a hole in the wall and hurting myself. I haven't taken the doors off the hinges. I take one hinge off at a time and I like paint around it. I'm going to replace the hinges anyway, but I want to paint
around it. Sounds like a workaround.
Yeah. And it's so involved because the only reason it takes so much time is because it has to like dry in between before I can do another coat. That has to dry. Then I can put the new hinge on, then I can move to the other hinge. And it would be a lot faster if there was someone to just like help me put it on the door. So I am slacking on, I've had all the hardware for like a year. I just need to actually do it. But I'm so proud of like the things that I've done in my house. And honestly, the thought of like it's been a long time since I've cohabitated. It's been, gosh, I won't even count the last partner I lived with because it was like 2 months before we realized it wasn't right. So probably my ex-husband was the last time that I lived with someone. And I definitely now I'm like, it would be wonderful in a lot of ways, but also like they're going to want to bring their stuff.
I know, and you have such great you have great taste, and that's going to be hard. You're going to end up with a wall of weird.
That's
I have
fine.
The wall of weird.
I think what'll have to happen pretty quickly if it gets to that point is like moving into a new space that we can collaborate on, because otherwise it feels like
if you can afford to just literally clear out all of each of your stuff, like as far as furniture and stuff, and that's what we did when we moved back to San Diego. It finally feels like it's ours and not his with some of my stuff.
Yeah.
Like Yeah, I if you have the money to do that, I
Yeah.
think it's worth it, but
Yeah.
not everybody has that. But
Yeah.
okay.
Man, we've gotten off base. Yeah.
It's all right.
As we do.
This is what every episode is like.
Good.
And I'm like, either you love it or you hate it, and I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
This is for me.
Yep.
I'm having so much fun doing this, and I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, this is so fun. This is the
Yeah.
shit I would do on the phone with all of my friends, and we just
Yeah.
get to record it. And yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks
Come
for
back
having
again.
me. I would love to.
Yeah.
Say the word and I'll be there.
I don't know, like maybe I'll put up like a calendar reminder in my phone to be like, hey, this person should come back. Like, it's been so much time. I don't know. I'm getting ready to go back on Shameless Sex, which is a podcast I recorded last summer, and it's kind of blown up on YouTube. And so like, maybe we should do a part 2. So like, yeah, I want this to, I don't have like, I wanted this to be a really small group of like my usual people, which you would have been in that group anyways. Yeah. But what I'm finding is you're like the 11th episode I think I've recorded of this podcast, plus the 7 I did for the Soft Cock Week podcast. What I'm finding that I really love is randomness, like having the cards as a jumping off point, but then seeing where we go. Yeah. It's very conversational, very intimate, and the people listening at home are very much have to want to be voyeurs in a sense to really enjoy this kind of podcast. And if that's you, cool. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Expect more. Mm-hmm. But ultimately I'm following my yes, which makes it not feel like work. Yeah. So
this honestly, it feels like us having, I love doing the cards. I feel like that's something that we could implement. I think a lot of times when we talk, we're catching up so much on each other's lives or asking for advice or something like that. But I think this would be a fun, regular thing to do as long as it doesn't feel like an obligation or something.
I have a XXX deck.
Ooh, okay. We can definitely do that.
And spoiler alert, the gift I got for you and the kids was the kids version of this. So I'll get that in the mail and send it to you.
Oh, I love that. That would be so fun.
I think it might be interesting. You have to let me know how it goes, because I just think like, what would it have been like to have these kinds of cards to do in my family? Yeah. Like, I shared on another episode that I bring these cards into my client work. As a really, it's like an invitation to get to know someone on a deeper level. Yeah. And I had a client that he loved we met once a month, and he'd be like, okay, I bought a different deck. Do you want to try this deck? I bought this dating deck. Can we try that deck? Like, and we would always start our sessions off with these because I think he really loved going deep, but he didn't know how to start it.
And that's tricky. Like, I love having those deep conversations, but you don't always know when they're going to happen. Yeah.
Imagine these in a car, like on a car ride.
Yeah, like a road trip. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I have a want for us. Okay. And I've said this. We need to do something. We need to go on vacation together. And I've said either we go find an all-inclusive resort somewhere, or we road trip. And I feel like I keep getting called back to like take you on a road trip because I know there's a lot of parts of my favorite parts of the country that you haven't seen. Yeah. And I just like, can you imagine us on a road trip with the cards?
Amazing. Like the time would go by like that. Like,
it does anyways, because I love, like, I call it like keeping people hostage in the car, that we get to have like car talk. Perfect. So thanks for joining us. I'm sure my Michigan wife will be back. Because why not? You seem like a natural at this. So, I never know when people haven't done this before how freaked out they're going to be. Yeah. But it was great having you here. And to you guys at home, thanks for listening. And I will see you next time. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to comment, pose a question, or learn more about the guests often featured on the show, visit us at intimacylabpodcast.com. Please also take a moment to review us on your favorite podcast app. It's one of the best ways to show your support. As for me, you can find out more about my work at meetmichellerenee.com, as well as on most social medias at meetmichellerenee. Let's connect again soon.